Now that you just got back online and set up your auto pay, hopefully, now what we need to do, and this may affect you and it may not. If you had no credit cards, then this lesson you can skip right over. If you have a lot of credit cards, then you want to listen to this lesson. Well, what we're going to do is don't let your cards gather dust. If you have 6 or 8 credit cards and use each one of them specifically, maybe $10, $20 a charge, pay it off every month. Don't let them gather dust. Your credit does not build as quickly by leaving your credit balances at zero and never using the card. And this is why having department credit cards usually is not very beneficial for your credit. Because, for example, I have a Kohl's card. I never shop at Kohl's. It shows a zero balance on it. Is it doing anything good for my credit? Probably not, because I don't use it. And I don't want to force myself once a month to purchase things from Kohl's that I really don't need, especially if you're on a tight budget. Um, so, when I get a chance and I figure the kids need something, some kind of clothes, or we need something there, fine, I'll go to Kohl's instead of any place else. And they're usually a little bit more expensive unless you catch it on a sale day. But if you're not using them, if you're letting them gather dust, they're not working to build your credit. Remember, building your credit means responsibility. You want to show the credit reporting agency that you use your credit and you pay your credit, and you use your credit and you pay your credit. Responsibility doesn't mean that you have let's say when you were a kid, you got a car, you parked it in the garage, and you never drove it. Does that show you're a responsible driver? Absolutely not. It just shows that you own a car and it's sitting in the garage. What you're trying to do is show responsibility is to drive it consistently without crashing it. Well, that's kind of what you're doing with your credit cards. You're going to drive them without crashing them. So, overloading your cards is a bad thing for your score, remember, but so is not using them at all. It's not as bad, but it isn't beneficial for your score, okay? Because the scoring formula prefers to see accounts that are being actively used rather than just sitting on the shelf. Getting a bunch of credit cards and letting them sit on the shelf and not using them will not build your credit. You need to use them. That's why I recommend you don't get department store cards, because they're usually on specific items. If you have a MasterCard, Visa, American Express, and Discover, instead of any department card, 4 major credit cards. You have the 2 big ones, and then you have Visa and MasterCard. And you then can spread out your monthly bills by paying those for each one of the cards. One of those bills for each one of the cards, and then paying that off at the end of the month. Every month, remember, make sure the bills aren't over 25%. But that then shows responsibility, and it works excellent with the formula that the credit bureaus have on how to build your credit. If you have a Kohl's charge and a Nordstrom charge and a Best Buy charge, here, you get a Best Buy charge. How many times you buy in electronics? You buy a new computer, and, what are you going to go to Best Buy to buy batteries now to try to show that? No. You don't buy them that often, so having a charge is not going to do anything for your credit. If you have one now, I'm not saying going out and spend money on it. When you try to arrange it where if you are going to spend money, maybe you'll use one of those cards if you need a new pair of jeans, or you do need to get batteries or a new mouse or keyboard or something. But don't buy something that you don't really need just to use the card and then pay it back. That is not worth doing. You can do those little tricks where you purchased it at, a day before your credit, when they are going to report. So let's say you purchase something small that's 25%, and then you hold it for 3 or 4 days or maybe a week, so it shows that you have a charge balance of less than 25%. Then you go to the store and then you return it, and they put it back onto your credit card and you don't open it, and then your credit balance goes back down to zero, and then you leave that for a month. I don't even know if that's legal to do. But I wouldn't recommend it, but I know people who have done it just to show that they're using a credit card. I don't recommend that. Listen, there's a thing in this universe, whether you're religious or not, it's karma. And karma always comes back to kind of haunt you. And it also rewards you when you do good things. So Don't do anything unethical when you're trying. You're not going to trick the system, and you're not going to raise your credit by doing things unethical. So use when you can, and if you can't, well, unfortunately, you made that mistake, and be done with it. Maybe come Christmas, you'll find they do start. Things like Best Buy do sell other things like gift cards. You could get a gift card on there to a place that you're going to eat dinner, and then eat dinner there using the gift card and pay it down. So there's still legitimate ways to do it without either overspending on things you don't need or buying things that you really don't need. Okay? A little activity, even a little, is better than none. It shows responsibility. So if you have old credit cards, dust them off. Don't throw them in the can in the freezer. I know some debt people tell you don't use the credit cards anymore and pay cash for everything. Fine and dandy. You're getting yourself out of debt, but you're not building your credit, and credit is important. Good credit is extremely important. I want you to get out of debt and build your credit so that you can use good debt, okay, to purchase things that give a return, so that you can get margin accounts and trade stock on it, so that you can buy more than one house or one more real estate property or start a business, and use good debt to build yourself some wealth. Okay? So that's what we're doing here. We're doing both. So in this case, don't let them gather dust and use them. All right? I will see you tomorrow. Thank you.